Hi, welcome to Chapter 21. Today we are going to be talking about flexible budgeting and about variances. So you're going to want to pull out your Chapter 21 Worksheet 1 so that you can follow along with me. All right, so we're going to start with flexible budgeting. And flexible budgeting allows us to take a fixed budget, and this is our fixed budget here, and this is what our budget would be if we sold 7,000 units. And we can take that and figure out what would our budget be if we had different levels of sales. Remember, when we're budgeting, we're looking into the future. So we don't really know how much we're going to sell, but this gives us a range. So the first step, we have our fixed budget. And we want to decide if each of our line items is fixed or variable. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say sales are variable, meaning that total sales will vary depending on how many units we sell. Direct materials are variable because if we sell more, we'll spend more. Direct labor is variable. Production supplies are variable. We'll use more supplies if we sell more. But our plant manager salary is fixed because our plant manager is going to make that same $65,000 a year, whether we sell 7,000 units, 5 million units, or 0 units. Okay. Our sales commissions are variable. Our packaging is variable because obviously the more we sell, the more packaging we need, but our advertising is fixed. Our advertising, we spend that independently of how many units we actually sell. And then, excuse me, our administrative expenses are always going to be fixed because administrative expenses are not tied to how much we sell. All right, so next we want to figure out our cost per unit or our price per unit. So we know what our fixed budget is. So I know that if when I sell 7,000 units, my sales are 2.8 million, then if I divide 2.8 million by 7,000, I know I'm selling my goods for $400 a unit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that same calculation for each of the variable line items. I don't need to do it for fixed because our fixed costs aren't going to change regardless of the level of production. So I'm going to take my 280,000 and divide it by my 7,000, and that's $40 of direct materials per unit. You can do the same thing with my direct labor, which will be $70 per unit. My variable overhead, which will be $25 per unit, and I won't do it for fixed. Then I'll do it for my sales commissions, which are going to be $20 per unit, and my packaging is going to cost me $22 per unit. That is some pretty expensive packaging. All right, so now I know my price per unit in the case of sales and my cost per unit in the case of my variable product costs and selling costs. So now when I want to create my flexible budget, I just take the number of units and I multiply it by my price per unit or my cost per unit. So I know that I sell my goods for $400 a unit times the 6,000 units of my flexible budget. Right there's my 6,000 units. So I know if I sell 6,000 units, my sales will be 2.4 million. All right, I'm going to go through and do the exact same thing for all of my variable costs. And I'm going to use a formula just to make this go a little quicker because I think you guys get it by now. So each of these, and you can see the formula up here, is the cost per unit times the 6,000 units. My fixed costs, I'm just going to slide them right over because they don't change depending on how many units I sell. So my 65,000 comes over. My 125,000 for advertising is unchanged, as are my administrative costs of administrative salaries, my depreciation, my insurance, and my office rent. So when I add it all up, I have sales of 2.4 million. I have total cost of goods sold of 875,000. When I take my 2.4 million and subtract 875,000, I have gross profit of 1,525,000. When I add up all of my selling expenses, they add up to 377,000, these here. And when I add up my administrative expenses, they add up to 176,000. So to get my net income, I'm going to take my gross profit minus my selling expenses minus my administrative expenses, and that gives me my net income of 972,000. Okay, so what I'm going to do is have you guys do the other two columns on your own, and then come on back here and I will show you how I solved for it. Okay, see you then.